Hey folks, this is Ardwulf with another episode of Ardwulf Presents. This time I am coming to you from Rift, the fantasy MMORPG from Tryon Worlds. This is a game that's been out for around a year now, and it came out last summer. It was probably the biggest success story in MMOs for 2011. It had a very, very polished beta. I played it in beta. I ended up not buying it when it came out. And I've just recently gotten back via a method I will talk about in a second. And I like the game just as much as I did at the time. I think it's just as good. My opinion basically hasn't changed at all. It's a fantasy MMO. It's a two-faction MMO type of setup, which I think we're all probably familiar with at this point. But the novel twist is... And, you know, I just defeated one of these, and solo no less. So unfortunately I can't show you one because I didn't capture it on video. But these rifts form out in the world, and one of the big dynamic features of it is the rifts that kind of start in random or semi-random locations and spawn random or semi-random creatures, and you can defeat them, or they can, if nobody defeats them, they can grow, which can be very problematic, which I don't know that I'm going to get to show you in the context of this video. Depends if I get into another rift or not. They're not particularly rare. When you start playing, you start level 1, of course, in a sort of public instance that is very kind of scripted and controlled. And once you get out of that, you are able to go out into the world, which is contiguous. Pants I have to pick out, which is contiguous, and so there's no zone lines or anything like that, although you do see load screens here and there, especially if you're like teleporting back to your bind point or something. So I have as a Defiler, which is one of the two factions. Basically there are two factions: the Guardians, who follow the gods, and the Defilers, who don't. That's pretty much the only distinction between them. They're as is common these days. They're not like good and evil or anything like that. So I've just completed the first round of quests, or the second round of quests, after completing the little tutorial section. And the Defiler side tutorial is kind of neat. You're actually you start off in the future on like the last day of the world, and the end of the tutorial, you travel back in time to the present day of Talara, the setting of Rift, and via a time machine, and that's when you start the actual game. So I've got some gear here. Let's see what I got. I got these pants, which are yeah, I'll take that. I guess intelligence is more important to me as a mage. And that's about the only worthwhile piece of gear I've got. There is crafting in this game. I did not... Oh, we have a rift opening right near us, so awesome. You can see that the effects for them are pretty cool. Actually open up in the landscape above the world. Try not to fight any mobs on the way. If these are allowed to grow out of control, they will basically overrun your quest hubs. So all your NPCs will be dead and replaced by fiery minions or whatever. The only rifts I've seen in this particular area are death rifts, and they're kind of elementally themed. So you have death rifts and fire rifts and life rifts and so on, all of which are pretty much equally bad. This is actually not one of the critters from the rift. That's just a regular critter. Now my character here is a mage. The way the characters work is actually sort of novel as well. You basically pick an archetype: mage, fighter, rogue, or cleric. And within that archetype you have a you don't really have a class. What you effectively have is a number of different talent trees that you can choose to quote-unquote equip. And you can have 3 talent trees enabled at any one time. Now, although you can have more than that, so you can have a whole array of different souls unlocked. These are called souls. They're talent trees. I'll show you mine in a minute as soon as we close this rift. And what we have to do is defeat, you'll see that there's a rift objective here to defeat these invaders. And only the last, this is pretty much identical to the rift I just did, actually. Only the very last guy is particularly tough. These events are supposed to scale to your level, and as far as I have seen, both in the beta and here since I've come back, that seems to work pretty well. I was the only one in here a little while ago when I fought a very similar rift off, and I found the second and third wave monsters tougher, but not undefeatable. Not exactly a groundbreaking MMORPG, I don't think. The questing is pretty much the same type of questing you would expect, but the dynamic events do add a certain amount of variability to the game and to your progress and to your personal idea of your story and what you're doing. So it ends up feeling a little bit less linear than a traditional extremely linear game like your World of Warcraft. I gotta say, it actually feels to me a lot like Warhammer Online, with the exception that everything seems to work. There is PvP. I don't feel I can intelligently comment on the PvP. I have not participated in it since coming back, and I didn't really do that much of it. I did a little bit. They're basically PvP battlegrounds. And there are PvP servers, too, where you can do PvP out in the open world. But I couldn't tell you how well that's working. My character here is a mage. The 3 souls he has are Pyromancer, Elementalist, and Archon. Once we get this cleared up, I'll show that to you. I keep triggering this one ability that's a ranged ability, but it's really short range. Here's the second wave. Or the boss of the second wave, anyway. And you can see he went down with not really much more trouble than the waves 1 and 2 did. Now here's the third wave boss. He's kind of tough. I'm not going to have a whole lot of trouble with him, but he is tougher. I'm not exactly beating his health down all that fast, but he's not beating mine down either, so it all works out. And down he went. Now, this is the little rift marker in your quest log. You can click on this bag and get a reward, in which case I get 2 Planarite and a Soul Sliver. And you can use the Planarite to do different things. It's basically a currency that you can spend to do different stuff. Now we gotta kill this guy. We've got some quests. Quests are marked on the map. It's probably one of the cleanest implementations of that I've seen, actually. This is a mining node. I don't have mining, so I can't pick it up. And I'm looking for these artifacts. Okay, what was that? This is an artifact. This is a collectible. There are collectibles in this game. Not quite as, what I would call them, as mature as, for example, the system in EverQuest 2 for collectibles. But certainly the UI highlights them well. As a elementalist, I do get a pet, which I don't actually care about too much, but I suppose it's helpful now. I feel like my character's pretty tough too, which is always nice. At least at this level range. There is also, as you may have just noticed, area loot, which is nice. Always like area loot. I think you can actually bind that to a hotkey too, although I didn't get that to work. I'm not sure why. Now, this is a traditional subscription game with a but. The but is that it's a subscription-based game. There's no cash shop. There's no free-to-play. But there is a trial. And it's the kind of trial that we are increasingly starting to see in MMOs nowadays, where you are not limited by time, you are limited by level. And there's probably some basic capabilities of the classes of the game, some functionality that is barred to me because I'm on the trial, but I haven't run across that yet. Although it seems like I'm not in general chat, which really isn't such a bad thing. There's dynamic grouping for the rifts, so you don't really have to worry about it. Game's totally soloable. There's another rift that just opened. I'm not sure I have an interest in fighting off another crappy little death rift. This particular area, I think that's the only kind of rift that you see. But once you're out in the main part of the world, which includes parts of this zone, by the way, then you start to see different kinds of rifts. The big story behind the game is that this death entity named Regulos is basically threatening the entire world. I don't know that I find it particularly interesting. As you can see, I think the movement's real fluid. The controls are very nice. I like the way everything handles. One other thing that Tryon Worlds has done that I am completely in favor of, that they've done a really great job with, is not only keeping the game updated, but also incentivizing with great regularity the idea that subscribers ought to hang around. So subscribers get a lot of deals. They're doing a lot to keep their population up. Subscribers get a lot of deals on subscription costs. And the game is frequently on sale. You can get it for $5, I think. There's once I exit here out of the game, I'll get a web browser pop-up that will tell me I can buy the game for $4.99. That's $4.99. So I'm looking for the planar reactor and step into the energy beam. I don't know where that's at, but we'll follow the quest marker. I think I might very possibly end up... I'm 8th level right now. If the... this here, by the way, is an herbalism node. I don't have a crafting skill, I just have a gathering skill. You can learn 3 skills, whether they be crafting or gathering, and I've only picked one up so far. I don't really know a lot about the crafting in this game. I'm probably not going to get to it in the context of this video, but maybe a future video will feature it. So the trial lets you play free to level 20. And we'll take the staff.
Best of luck.
Best of luck. Not a fully voice acted game either, but that doesn't bother me. What voice acting there is pretty good. And we have another staff. So we're going to have like a whole arsenal of staves here by the time we're done.
Journey well.
Ah, good to see you. Journey well.
Most of the NPCs will have a little extra text too that you can, let's see, that you can discuss with them. Join the devs today on the public test server for a look at our newest feature, mentoring. I didn't know about that. That's kind of cool that they're going to have mentoring. Mentoring is something that is available in a few games. It is certainly in EQ2. Basically, the idea is that you, as a higher level character, can artificially, temporarily lower your level to adventure with lower level parties. It's actually a quite nice feature. Let's see. That would be the energy beam. So... it looks like I have actually completed that objective. They've been doing a,
Pick this up
let's see,
quickly.
purchase a new role. I don't even know what that is.
Dedication to your art.
I think that means a preset slot setup that you can get. Much like getting dual spec in WoW would work. Planar lure. As when I get a new ability, this little pop-up, I can actually drag the ability off of it. Use Editor to lure out the planar forces breaking through and start a rift event. Ah. Okay.
Thank you for your assistance.
Oh, you dick! Now you give me the quests, the quest to open rifts. So yeah, mentoring will be nice in this game. The low-level zone on this server, and this is the Fabelite server, is the PvE-RP server. That kind of server tends to be pretty highly populated in most MMOs. And I am not seeing a lot of other people playing. This is a potential problem if the dynamic events don't scale well. Potentially a game-busting problem, in fact. What I found in the beta was that, now there's nothing that says this doesn't work a lot better now. Now what I found in the beta though was if you didn't stomp rifts, the rifts were flying very thick, and if you didn't stomp them instantly, there were too many of them to keep suppressed, and you'd end up with relatively regularly every other time you'd visit your quest hub, you would end up with your quest hub would be overrun by weird creatures, and you wouldn't be able to do anything. Now, defending quest hubs against those invasions when there's other players there was a lot of fun. In much the same way that like defenses, like group defenses were in Warhammer Online. Something I enjoyed a lot, and is one of the reasons why the game disappointed me so much is that once people actually started playing after the game launched, everyone pretty much gravitated away from the open world stuff and did scenarios. And just grinding the same scenarios over and over again is boring. Okay, so we have stuff to do here. We also have this quest at Night's Stand, and I don't even know where that is. Here's the world map, by the way. World is decent sized. Iron Pine Peak. That looks like some kind of world event. Another thing that there is, the ranges feel good. At least with the Pyromancer, it feels like I'm not like crippled range-wise, where I have to get uncomfortably close to mobs. A little village down here. I have not seen this zone before, actually. In the beta, I played on the Guardian side, and I pretty much leveled all the. I don't know why I keep doing that. I don't know. I pretty much leveled all the way out of the first zone, and then the beta was over. I have to destroy these barricades. I can't be bothered to read quest text in most games. It's just unreasonable. I see the barricade does not prevent me from targeting the mob. Nor the mob targeting me, for that matter. So it looks like I have several stacked objectives here in this immediate area. It's pretty typical. Pretty typical, I would say, Wrath of the Lich King era and onward WoW-style quests, where everything's very structured with a progression in mind, and it's pretty linear. You do have a little more ability because the dynamic events actually give you quite a bit of experience, and you can level just by walking around and fighting off rifts. That is totally doable in this game. So you can ignore the quest lines if you like, at least some of the quest lines. So it's maybe a little bit less linear, but the questing itself is quite linear. It looks like we have a life rift over here, over the horizon down there. I'm not having a tremendous amount of trouble with multiple mobs here. nor am I particularly paying attention to what level the multiple mobs are, so that could be a factor as well. So that, but this guy right here is a, let's get completed that. We have something to do up here. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to pretty much go in and kill everything and see what happens. The slop timer, if you know what that means, is pretty good too. It feels very good. I can hit an ability just before the activation bar on the prior ability finishes, and it will take my ability in kind of a queue. So use the dissolution apparatus on this guy. They put the items that you need to activate for the quests right in your quest tracker, which is nice, but it confused me at first because I was sitting there looking through my inventory saying, where the fuck is this thing? And I have to resummon my pet.
Incompetent Beck. The Endless Court does not tolerate failure.
So now I guess I have to kill her too.
And you, Ascended. You should have chosen to join Regulus. Now your fate is sealed.
Shut up and be targeted. Ah, okay, so I couldn't target her after all. Oh well. Let's go look at the life rift. And there's probably... Let's check out the falling damage mechanic here. There was indeed falling damage. Okay. Life rift is one that I haven't seen before since coming back, so all I pretty much saw were death rifts. Actually probably have points, soul points to spend. When I played this before, so we get to kill fake clutch weavers. Let's try this and see what happens. This new ability that I got. Oh shit. I do not have a huge amount of AoE. But I do have this one AoE ability which is pretty potent. I also have no... So you can see as you're getting close to death here, you get kind of a... And let's back the hell off for a second here. So stage 2, it looks like this tear has already opened. You can see the stage number up here in the rift marker. Where's my pet? Crap. I believe, as I recall, I played a couple different characters in the beta, and I think one of them was also Pyromancer. Which, oddly enough, is the same character I played in Warhammer Online as well. Because I like guys who set stuff on fire. That's just fun. This is problematic here, where I'm pulling large numbers of these guys. So they're fairly tightly packed. At least in this case, my my pet's taking one of them on for me. And that's the stage. And now we get to kill the fake clutch brood tender. And again, since I'm doing this myself, looks pretty defeatable. Why is it running away? Oh, fantastic. So it looks like it's running away. These things behave like bosses. So basically it's running away, spawning a couple little mini dudes. I'm already at full mana. How that's possible, I don't... Oh, crap. I'm dead. So, when I die, I can respawn at a spawn point, or I can soul walk, which means I can walk a certain distance from where I'm at, and I will respawn. Now, how far away I need to be, I don't know. There I go. I lost vitality, which works, again, exactly as it did in Warhammer Online. The game's pretty similar to Warhammer Online, actually, except that everything actually works. Which is novel, because that's not the case in Warhammer. So I'll be able to go and fight the big boss there again, but I'm hoping he hasn't completely healed. Indeed he has. So it looks like the boss here looks defeatable, but I'm not quite capable of doing it. Let's look at our soul trees here. We do have 3 points that we can spend. So we're going to grab this ability, which lets us do a root, which will be nice. Burning Fury. Buy that, and we have one more. And this ability in the Elementalist tree actually increases my crit chance for all spells. So we'll save. And we're going to have Smoldering Power, which is a self buff, which is actually, I think, kind of critical for the Elementalist. Okay, so let's try it again. I got a companion somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where. Maybe that'll make the difference. It seems like that thing is currently immune to damage. It would be awfully nice if I could take these damn little critter down. That thing's spawning little critters faster than I can do anything about it. I am dead. Now I have to respawn. Okay, so it looks like I couldn't take that particular Rift boss on by myself. That's okay. Go talk to this guy. You all know how this works. Now I can go actually retrieve my corpse. So let's do that. Just looking for the whirling vortex in the sky. And you do have a slightly faster movement in ghost form, and looks like a higher jump too. We have another Death Rift over here. Raptor is not quite yet, I guess. Shortly to be offering free Rift, a limited number of free Rift game codes. So actually I'm planning on taking advantage of that. This is a game I did not really get into enough to buy it when it came out, but it's a pretty good game nonetheless. A lot of people headed its way while waiting for Old Republic to come out. Now that a lot of people have abandoned Old Republic, and there is every sign that Rift is going to get an expansion pretty soon, there's I think a lot of reason to come back and check the thing out now. So by all means, like I said, the trial is free and lets you advance on your own pace up to level 20. So give it a shot. I will put a link in the notes below. Also in the notes below you will find a link to my website at ardwulfslair.wordpress.com and links to circle me on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. So do that, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we have more videos coming your way. Thanks for watching.